from some of your comments, I get the impression that you would like to cut the size of government. I assume that also includes cutting its budget.
Yeah.
How will you answer your opponents who will say that you're throwing granny under the bus, you don't like poor people, you hate, you're a racist, and you have absolutely no compassion?
Okay, first of all, they're talking about, this shows how crazy our country is right now in the budget talks. They're talking about, hey, we got to pass $500 billion in tax cuts over the next 10 years, or there's going to be this fiscal cliff that we're going to fall off of. I'll tell you how we can save 60-some billion a year without anybody in the country disagreeing with this. I even think Harry Reid would have to agree with me, to be honest with everybody. First of all, you cut the $18 billion we provided in core projects, not projects that are for federal projects such as dams and this and that, but port projects, $18 billion. You cut $13 billion in foreign aid that were given to countries around the world that are adversarials of us. They're not friendly to us, but against us, and we give them $13 billion. That's $31 billion right there. Then you can save $32 billion by just taking the appropriations budget back to the 2010 level. That's just 2 years ago. And you're going to save $32 more billion. Our country, our budget has grown so exponentially the last few years that it's gone off the charts, and we can get it back under control by doing some simple things. There's other things that we can do to cut the budget. If you eliminated the Department of Education, except for a supervisory role, and give that money to the states, you should let the states implement the education program they wanted to. We would save $4.5 billion just in administration costs. There are a number of things that you can do with that. We can get into the Social Security and Medicare and all those other things, but there's things that we can do that could cut the cost without hurting the seniors, the ones that desire. One, I believe we're going to have to raise the rates when we retire for Social Security, the age. Because, and I'm not in favor of means tests. So understand, I don't believe that people that paid into the system, but they were successful and earned a lot of money, should end up not getting those benefits they paid into. But when this Social Security was passed, the life expectancy was 19 years less than it is now, but we've only moved it up 2 years from when they receive benefits. There has to be a program. There has to be a grace period for people who have been relying upon Social Security, whatever it's 5 or 10 years. But then you're going to have to move that age up some to correlate with our increase in the term of our lifespan and everything.
Follow-up question. Our current deficit is running $4 billion per day. Your $32 billion of savings just took 8 days. What are you going to do for the other 360 some odd days?
It was actually $63 billion on those 3 projects alone. I used that number to get over $50 billion because that's what the federal government, that's what Congress has to agree upon before you fall off the fiscal cliff. There are a number of other areas, like I mentioned, Department of Education. You can say $4.5 billion there. There's, I think, and I don't have these figures in front of me, but I went through the Freedom Works budget that they proposed, which was very enlightening. And they had a number of other areas where they were saving billions of dollars, such as was it 18 billion? It was 18 billion. You're going to hold me these numbers. I don't have them on top of me, but there's tens of billions of dollars are given in tax breaks for farm subsidies, for oil companies, for other types of industries that aren't provided, shouldn't be provided by our federal government, and you're reaching, whether it's another 50 billion or not a year. I use that 62 billion example because that covers what the federal government should be doing not to fall off the fiscal cliff. We can go into more in-depth details by just going over what I mentioned to you, some of those items in the Freedom Works plan. I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with that, but they've done an extensive study on some of the cost savings. Most of which I agree with, some of them I don't. I'll get back to you in a second. Yes.
What is your opinion of Agenda 21?
From what I understand of the Agenda 21, I'm certainly not in favor of it, and I think if it is accurate, we need to make sure that it's better informed to the public, and we get people in there that are going to fight against it.
We have an issue, I believe, here in Nevada. I've only been in Nevada 6 months, so a lot of it's new to me politically, but I've been watching or reading about the Gold Butte issue. That is an Agenda 21 project, and we need people to stand up against that. We're talking millions of acres of land that would be put into conservation.
Well, actually, if it gets put into wilderness, you have no ability to take a motorized vehicle, build anything, or do
I'm
anything
from
like that.
Montana, I understand.
So I'm certainly against that, yes. In
Yeah.
fact, Nevada has millions of acres that are already designated wilderness, and Harry Reid is trying to get more and more done, and Golden Butte is one of those, and I will fight to stop that. Now, there's something that's even worse that I'll bring to your attention. You know, Yerington has an 18% unemployment. That's not underemployment, that's unemployment. If you add underemployment, there's probably closer to 30%. It's in Harry Reid's state, right? It's the third worst unemployment rate in the whole country in any county.
Where is
right?
this
Yerington and Lyon County, basically. Yerington's in my district. There's a mine, Nevada copper mine, that's put billions of dollars into producing a mine, and it's going to create jobs, revenues for the city, and all this stuff. They want, what they made a proposal to go in and buy some BLM land at the fair market value. They're going to give more than half of it back to the city of Yerington to build parks and other type of things that they're going to be able to use for the benefit of the city. There's no environmental concerns, there's no health issue concerns. It should be a no-brainer. Congressman Amadei introduced the bill, it was passed in the House. Harry Reid will not put it on the vote in the Senate because he wants the people of Yerington to agree to, and it's debated how much it's going to be, whether it's hundreds of thousands or millions of more acres of wilderness to protect sage grouse up there. If they don't agree to that, he's holding them hostage and says he won't bring that vote up to a bill, and the Nevada copper mine will not be able to expand its business to benefit everybody in that area. And that's what we're facing on the other side. We're facing these type of tactics. You had another question that you want to ask me.
How would you describe your tax policy?
Tax policy is simple. I don't believe our tax system is fair. I think it's too complicated. I think too many people and businesses get special breaks based upon their influence they have with legislators. I think we need to make the tax system fairer and simpler. If we keep the same tax system, we need to cut down the vast majority of those deductions and just keep a few of them that are essential to what we're used to, accustomed to, such as a home mortgage and so forth. I would be in favor of looking at the fair tax, which would eliminate the IRS completely and would be a national retail tax. There is a lot to explain when you go through that, but there is a level that they protect the people who can't pay anything. So there's a level where they wouldn't be having to pay taxes. It makes everybody who's earning money and buying a product to pay a tax, which we don't have right now. Even the flat tax would be a better product than what we have now. We'd eliminate all the deductions and have a flat tax for everybody else. What we have now, and it's really quite simple how we got here, if you think about it. You have people that are in Washington. They're in Congress, and they want to stay in Congress. So what they say is, hey, and how do you stay in Congress? You get enough money to either scare off or run off your opponents or demonize them so that they can't beat you in an election. And how do they get that money? They get that money by meeting with different PACs and lobbyists and so forth, and all of a sudden we have a tax code that keeps expanding, and have more and more tax breaks and deductions on it. Well, we've got way out of control. It's unfair to the average person, and it's wrong. You know what makes me laugh? When I listen to the Democrats make a big issue about raising the tax rate from 36 to 39%. And they say that would be fair, you know, the more wealthier are paying that. And, hey, the people who have the money and are making that tax break, they got the best accountants. They're taking advantage of all these tax breaks and tax loopholes, and they're paying a lot less than that anyways. You could have it, you know, they talk about how it was in the 1940s and 50s at 70 and 85% tax break, but there were so many deductions that people that were at that level were paying such a lower amount. The key thing is everybody should be paying their fair share, and people that have more money, that have more influence with your congressmen and congresswomen and senators shouldn't be getting the tax breaks that they currently are getting right now. And I'm going to go back to Washington, fight very strongly for that. I think that's one of the biggest problems we're facing in that country. Yeah.
Kind of two questions. The people in Washington, D.C. that are elected by us to serve the citizens of this country are not subject to the same rules, regulations, laws, and benefits that we are subject to, that they pass laws for us to be under.
You don't have to explain why I get this question everywhere I go, and I'd be a very strong advocate of the bill that I believe was introduced, or at least it was proposed, to have Congress have to live under the same laws they pass to their constituents, and dealing with health care, retirement, and everything else.
My follow-up is, what do you see yourself in regard to the number of terms you intend on spending in Washington, D.C.? John Adams didn't make the
Yeah,
same.
no,
for
I would be in
job.
favor of term limits and what those term limits would be. I'd like to see it imposed across the board, a voluntary one for me and nobody else. It doesn't do a whole lot of good for the people here in Nevada, but I would vote in favor of it. I would even be a sponsor of the term limit bill. It would have to be staggered enough so that you don't have a big enough turnover that you would hurt national security and some other things.
But you have professions you can come back to Las Vegas and do, and so many of them, they're career politicians, like Harry Reid. What the hell would Harry Reid do? What do we have done?
Pomegranate.
16 years. I mean, Elizabeth Ritz-Carlton and $2 million condo in Washington, D.C.
I want to introduce Art and Kathy Lynn, and thank you guys for coming up here. They are the chairman of the
The president of the Grassroots Tea Party of Nevada, and Art's the vice president. We endorsed Danny, supported him in the primary, helped with the rural counties, and we endorsed and support him there.
More than that, how wonderful these people are is they have been on the phone call, and if you listen to Kathy Lynn talk, if she was supporting Borsford, I would have voted for her the way she talks on the phone. She was so good. And her and Art put hours upon hours. They were at the opening of the VA hospital with me today and made sure I had the right seat. They drove all the way up for this. This is what makes it worthwhile when you go out and you campaign and you're doing everything when you have people like them helping you. I'm sorry, I'll get to you in a second too, but let me go ahead.
I find it interesting that when you listen to candidates on what projects to cut and where they're going to cut the money, that the cuts will come at the detriment of the American people. Whether it be the farmers, whether it be the Social Security, raising the age and so forth.
Oil companies, anything, sure.
And I understand those types of things have to happen, but what I don't hear is the billions and billions and billions of dollars in programs that the illegal aliens, that the free medical, all the different ways that they tap into our system without any rules, any sets of checks and balances. And I'd like to hear what you think about, do we even know how much money is being spent in Nevada or nationwide on illegal immigration programs?
When I ran 2 years ago, there was a number that was espoused, and it was mentioned several times. I can't think of what it was here in Nevada. It was quite high. You know, as I mentioned, I think my first question was making sure only the people that are here in our country legally are entitled to the benefits provided to our citizens. I think that's what you're referring to. I've been ridiculed and attacked already by my opponent for making that statement. He went in front of what they call the Hispanics in politics, a very left-leaning group, and criticized me for being an extreme radical because I made that statement. I think it's just more common sense. In fact, I said that today on the radio. I was on the Alan Stock show. I said, you know, I don't come up with these far type of ideas. I listen to people, I listen to ideas, I see which ones. It's not my dad was when he coached basketball. He'd sit there and listen to other coaches. He'd take a little bit here, a little bit there that he believed in, and he implement them. So I just try to listen to other people and you understand stuff. These are common sense things we're talking about. We're not talking about anything crazy. If you're not in the country here legally, you're not entitled to the benefits provided to the citizens of our country. If that needs to change, then change INS laws and make it different for people to come in the country illegally. And I've been a strong advocate for that, and quite frankly, I'm getting attacked already on that. I'll get to you next. Yes,
You probably already know, but there's a common sense filter at the Beltway.
Yeah.
What about voter ID?
When I ran for Secretary of State in 2006, I was the biggest advocate of the Carter-Baker proposal. Jimmy Carter, of all people, made a proposal with Jimmy Baker. After the 2004 presidential election, they made a commission to look how you can improve the voter laws. And they said people should show proof of citizenship when they register to vote and a photo ID when they go to the polls. I ran on that principle. Unfortunately, I didn't win. And in fact, the current Secretary of State has gone the complete opposite. It's unfortunate.